Dr. Sean Cross, the Joint Clinical Director at the Maudsley Simulation Centre, invited us to watch them doing some standardised or simulated patient as part of a simulated-based education approach. This time it's a person who's experiencing problems with mental health after they've had a baby, so perinatal mental health problems.
We've been doing SIM here for about 3 or 4 years now. We put together a bid which went to Health Education England to say that what we wanted to do was set up a centre specifically to focus on mental health simulation. They went for it. We have a faculty of people who are helping us design, develop, deliver research and talk about SIM in a way that we're really very proud of.
Well, the perinatal team within SLAM went through a sort of Dragon's Den process where they got a bit of money to develop a training course. At that point, because I have a particular interest in it and I was working as an education fellow within Maudsley Simulation at the time, it seemed a sort of natural link to make up with them. So this is a scenario about postnatal depression. So one of the really common mental health presentations that we see in the perinatal period. And that was part of what we wanted to do on the course, was actually show really common presentations that people come across a lot of the time. It's basically a woman who was unwell during her pregnancy with depression, and in fact that's one of the other scenarios in the course, so we actually see her journey.
We followed her up 3 months postpartum in a home visit, so we moved from the GP clinic into her home environment, and during that time she's severely deteriorated. And so you have a group of participants in a room separate from the room where the scenario was happening, and so that's where the action is being projected into the room for the active observers to be watching.
It's an area where there are lots of different disciplines and healthcare professionals working together to understand the symptoms of illness, to recognise when something is severe, and to be able to deliver the right level of care and support depending on whether someone can be managed in the community or needs a slightly more higher level of support with mental health services.
Participants come from all sorts of backgrounds, nurses, occupational therapists.
You potentially have lots of different professionals involved. There might be a GP, there might be a health visitor, there'll be a midwife, and if someone becomes mentally unwell, there might be mental health teams. So it's a time actually that communication is really important, and that there's good transfer of information as well as good communication with the mum and the partner and the family themselves. Bringing it together in a simulation setting is absolutely perfect. For me, it's the best training platform that I've ever delivered for perinatal mental health, and I've been doing this for well over 20 years now.
I think there are lots of misconceptions first about simulation. People often think that they have engaged in simulation learning, and what they've actually engaged in, it turns out to be, is role play. They've pretended to be someone else, or they've pretended somebody has a mental health problem, they've pretended to intervene. I think the thing about simulation, when it's done properly and when it's done well, is that it creates a real life situation where people can genuinely participate as themselves.
One of the misconceptions often of simulation is that the only time the learning occurs is when you're in the middle of the simulation and you're interacting with the actors. We think that by far and away the best bit of learning that occurs is in the debrief afterwards, when everyone is able to sit around the table, reflect on their past experiences.
With a proper debrief situation, people can really think about how things didn't go well and how they might go better. It's not a case of doing things wrong, it's a case of exploring other options for intervention and being able to do that in a safe space with opportunity to reflect on it afterwards.
These are usually clinicians who are leading the debrief, doctors and nurses and healthcare workers who have specialized in mental health.
But there's a huge number of people that are required to bring about a successful simulation training day. And it's not just the people, our clinicians, who are designing and developing the course, but it's also our techs and it's also the active faculty, because we actually train our active faculty. We have service users who come in and help us enhance their ability to understand what it's like to be psychotic, what it's like to be depressed, what it's like to be suicidal, so that that they can better portray that for the benefit of our course attendees.
It's great if people can come to us at our centre here, but we can also bring the course to a group of clinicians and practitioners around the country and around the world, in fact.
Thinking about participants' knowledge, attitudes and confidence before and after the course, and there's been really significant improvements in all of those domains.
We're also trying in lots of different ways to measure the impact in our systems, on our wards, in our community teams, and in other areas where we've offered this kind of training. And we've got lots of results that show that it continues to have a very positive impact long after the day is over itself. There's something different that happens. People learn new things and learn different things when they experience training in this way. There's definitely a place for e-learning, there's definitely a place for face-to-face, but this then brings an extra component to someone's educational portfolio as well.
I'm really keen that we maximise opportunities to develop more scenarios, look at new roles, look at new situations, and use simulation in healthcare training right across the board.